Is Megha joined? So, who else wants to follow? So, yes, Rimjim will follow. Since Megha is still not joined, she's been saying for 3 days, but I think I'll just share the screen. Yeah, you can see?
Yes.
We'll start with the invocation. Sahana bhavatu.
Sahana bhavatu.
Sahanau bhunaktu.
Sahanau bhunaktu.
Saha viryam karavavahai.
Saha viryam karvavahai.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu.
Ma vidvishavahai.
Ma vidvishavahai.
Om Tisha Tisha.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Vasudevendrayo
Vasudevendra Yogendram
Natva Jnanapradum Gurum
Tattva Bodham Gurum
Mumukshurnam Hitarthaya
Mumukshunarthaya
Tattva Bodho Bhidhiyate.
Tattva Bodho Bhidhiyate.
Vasudevendrayo Natva Jnanapradum Gurum Mumukshurnam Hitarthaya Tattva Bodho Bhidhiyate.
Vasudevendra Yogendram Natva Jnanapradam Gurum Mumukshunarthaya Tattva Bodho Bhidhiyate.
Nityam Shuddham Nirabhasam
Nityam Shuddham Nirabhasam
Nirakaram Niranjanam
Nirakaram Niranjanam
Nityabodham Chidanandam
Nityabodham Chidanandam
Gurum Brahmanama
Gurum Brahmanamamyaham
Nityam Shuddham Nirabhasam Nirakaram Niranjanam
Nityam Shuddham Nirabhasam Nirakaram Niranjanam
Nityabodham Chidanandam Gurum Brahmanama
Nityabodham Guru Brahmanamamyaham
Nityam Shuddham Nirabhasam Nirakaram Niranjanam Nityabodham Chidanandam Gurum Brahmanamamyaham
Nityam Shuddham Nirabhasam Nirakaram Niranjanam Nityabodham Chidanandam Gurum Brahmam Namamyaham
This Brahma, not Brahmam. Gurum Brahmanamamyaham.
Gurum Brahmanamamyaham.
Right. By the time we finish this verse, I am requesting everyone, try and remember this. It would be very nice if you take it as a choiceless thing. Don't keep yourself with a choice that you may or may not remember. Try to remember, because we're repeating it only for the reason that once you hear it enough, the words will anyway settle down inside, and as much the words get comfortable, so much the meaning will be quicker to grasp. It will come faster. So we'll start with the class yesterday itself, where we left on the word Nityam and Shuddham. To understand Kutastha Nityam and Pravaha Nityam, Kutastha Nityam and Pravaha Nityam that we were doing yesterday. Best way, let me start first by removing the words. I'm going to explain the same words, Kutastha and Pravaha, without using these words. What is Nityam? If we understand it, right, or take 3 points. First, Nityam means eternal presence. Eternal presence. Second means objectless presence. An objectless presence. Third is changeless presence. A changeless presence. If you see in all the 3 words, all the 3 are talking of or saying presence. Presence is always there. Presence means जो है, जो स्थित है. Whatever is there, past, present, future, free of time, ever there, is eternal. Means there never is ever its state of disappearance, its state of non-existence, its state of लुप्त होना, आंखों के सामने suddenly sometimes you see uh, okay, let's say you see clouds. When you see the clouds in the sky and you're still looking at them, and then suddenly the clouds, the hawa comes, the air comes, and the clouds float away. Now when they have floated away, you saw them, now you don't see them. Sometimes you see a shadow somewhere and then you say, I saw something, and then suddenly you don't see it. Is that what is called presence? Presence is where you are, there is something which is always there. When we say always there, we mean it is there whether there is some object there or not. Objectless presence. I said, Abhi, presence, eternal means it is always there. Now I am saying objectless means, take the example of sunlight. When you have, sun rays are everywhere, but you find light only on earth. In space, in fact, rays are traveling through the space. But in space, you see blankness, darkness. You don't see any light. You only see the light when it gets reflected by an object. Isn't that true? You see light when it is reflected by an object. That means even though light is there, but I am not able to see light unless and until it gets reflected by an object. Nityam means a presence. We all feel ourselves as there, but only with respect to having a form, having a body, having a world to see, contact. With reference to things and people, we see ourselves. Just give me a minute. So we are seeing ourselves as present, but only with reference to a body, our thoughts, our identity, our people around, our objects, etc. We see ourselves only with reference to all this. What objectless means? A presence where even the form is not there. Even the objects are not there. People are not there. But there still is a presence. That objectless presence, because it is eternal, has to be changeless. Because any change implies that it is non-eternal. उसकी पिछली अवस्था थी, बदल गया, अब है लेकिन कुछ और है. That means हो भी सकता है, नहीं भी हो सकता है. Eternal, objectless, changeless presence is what is called Kutastha. You take the example of gold and ornaments that we have been seeing now. With reference to gold, gold remains gold. But in gold, there is the capacity within gold to become the ornament. Gold as is gold. Without any form as in a specific name and form. Gold is gold. One second, please. There are someone whose mic is on. Madhuji, Neerja ji, can you please switch off your mics? Means you can mute them.
Mine is mute, Deepti ji.
I can hear you. Who was that? Just share it again. I'll have to stop sharing it. So when you see Nityam, the word means a presence. ऐसा क्या है जो काल से मुक्त है? काल means time. अवस्था से मुक्त है. अवस्था means state. And कार्य कारणा means causation से मुक्त है. But है. One starts to reflect upon what can I have in my cognition as an experience which will fall in this category. Gold, as I was on the example, gold in itself is something which is changeless. It retains its properties throughout. As is, the gold has the capacity inherent in it to transform as if into an ornament. As long as it is seen as an ornament, it remains gold. But now it has also got an additional factor, and that seems to be the specification of the name and the form, the specification of its qualities and its properties. This specification is it eternal? No. This specification is non-eternal because we all know this ornament can be changed into another ornament. When you have changed the ornament, the gold retained itself. This retention of gold and its capacity is actually inherent in the gold and not in the ornament to now become another ornament. I'll repeat myself. Gold retains itself as gold. उसका स्वभाव नहीं बदलता. वो वैसा ही रहता है जब उसका हम ornament बनाते हैं. When the ornament is made, at that time, where did the capacity of the gold to shape itself in an ornament come from? It was inherent in gold. That capacity within gold to be able to change in form, thereby having a specific utility, having a very specific existence, having a very specific name, that has now started to have the expression of gold. Our attention goes only to the ornament. the beauty of the ornament, the design of the ornament. But how did this design come about? It came about because the gold had the capacity in it. Once this ornament changes, I get tired of the design, I change it. I make it another design, another ornament. This capacity now to change the form, is it in the ornament or is it in the gold? Gold. The ornament has lost its name, previous one. I had made a bangle. When I changed this shape, I made a necklace. And now bangle is no longer bangle, but the gold carried forward. Gold remained gold even when I was seeing bangle, and gold remains gold even when I see now a necklace. The point I'm drawing to is subtle. Pay attention to what I am now once again saying. What needs to be grasped is the capacity of gold to become ornament is actually the capacity in gold, of gold. But is that capacity really, because that capacity is eternal, I can go on changing names. I can make, my great grandmother had a bangle, my grandmother changed it to another design, then my mother changed it to another one, and then she gave it to me and I changed it into something else. I give it to the daughter and she changes it into something else. This capacity to change. Gold has a capacity to change eternally, as if. This changing factor in gold is also nityam. It is eternal. I'm going to just pause the screen, or rather stop it for now, and I'm going to see. Yeah, now I can see you. So what really is nityam now conveying? Two things. One is gold itself remaining gold, and the capacity of gold to change into any number of things is also inherent in gold. Both of them seem to be indicative of nityatvam. The subtlety is which nityatvam is actually the truth. Gold, as long as it is gold, will have the capacity to change. But this capacity to change its name and form is called pravaha nityatva. It changes. That eternity that it represents in change is not the swabhav, is not the swarup of gold. Very fine line. We may think that the capacity to change seems non-separate from gold. The essence of gold is the essence of gold, its capacity to change. Remember the example I gave of rose? Rose has its essence, essential nature. Tattva Bodha is essential knowledge. Knowledge of the rose. Rose ceases to remain rose if you remove that tattvam from it. What is the tattvam of gold? That tattvam which will not change even when the changing capacity is held within it. Its capacity to change is in gold. But gold doesn't change. Beautiful point, very subtle, very intricate and essential to Vedanta. This is pure, I would say, Vidya, Brahma Vidya. Why? Because in here, as you keep gaining more knowledge, you will realize that all manan means reflection, of who yourself is in essential nature and what is your acquired nature, what is your changing nature, what is that which you call as yourself. Form, मैं हूँ, I'm existent. I have no doubt about myself as a person. That doubting, not doubting yourself as a person, what is it? What is the nature? Nityam word is conveying that these two things you need to discern and come to the conclusion of what really is your nature. That nature is Brahman. And what is this changing nature? You yourself have a changing nature. What is that changing nature? If you go back to the very orientation class in the second class, the Karma Kand deals with that which is your changing nature. You will keep getting an existence back with different name and form, different place, anybody, all of that. All this is a potential already in the essential nature, but important is the essential nature remains changeless even when there is change imposed on it. Name and form. Bangle is an imposed nature on gold. Get the word. Bangle is an imposed nature on gold. Necklace is an imposed nature on gold. Both of them are essentially gold. Without the imposition, if you can see it as it is, will you see the difference between bangle and necklace? Will you call that they are different if you see them without the imposition of bangle and gold? You have a bangle and you have a gold, correct? If you remove the imposition, though you have them in your hand, but you remove the imposition, ye bangle hai, ye necklace hai, you remove it, you will see only gold. In the same way, exactly the same way, all the names and forms and people and things and everything that you see, they seem eternally lasting in a changing way. That change is imposed on the changeless, what we said yesterday, substratum. Taha. It is that which remains changeless because of which the change can be imposed on it. But that capacity is inherent in it. It's not separate from it. Later on, I don't want to burden the brain, but that changing capacity will be called Maya later on. At this point, we'll leave it. But because we've heard these words so often, that it is inherent in essential nature, that inherent essential nature के अंदर ही उसकी capacity had to change without it changing actually in its nature. It doesn't get affected. The nature doesn't get affected. Is this some little bit clear? So, Nityam means we are seeing it as qualities descriptive, Swarupa Lakshan. This verse has both Swarupa Lakshan and also the other, Tatastha Lakshan. Nityam is the Swarupa Lakshan. Moving on to the second, Shuddham. Shuddham we said is pure. Ekarasam. There is no adulteration. If you take the same example, when gold transformed as if into a bangle, the gold did not get affected, adulterated by the name and form and function of the bangle. कुछ भी नहीं हुआ उसको. It's beautiful. उसको कुछ हुआ ही नहीं. And yet, उसकी एक appearance अलग आ गई. Shuddham means, in spite of imposition of a different name and form of creation, it still essentially retains itself as pure, unaffected, changeless. When you see the whole world creation in front of us, when we see this, and we, like I said, science is still wondering कहाँ से आया creation, कब तक रहेगा, कहाँ जा रहा है, क्यों ऐसा है, कुछ तो नहीं पता है. Like everybody is now saying, oh, coronavirus, and we have this to destroy that. You don't even know what coronavirus is, and how do you know what is going to kill it? We are still figuring so much of life out that even by the time we have understood something, we are already changing that understanding at another point of time. If this changing understanding, can that be called Nityam? That cannot be the real nature of creation. On what is creation subsisting? On what is creation resting? Where is the creation manifesting? Where is the creation seen? What is the force? What is the material of creation? Material of bangle is gold. Gold has the capacity to become bangle. Take a parallel. Creation we see. What is the capacity of this creation? What is the material of the creation? Where is it inherent? That presence eternal has that capacity to be seen as creation, ever changing, changelessly changing. That is Brahman. Final equation is that Brahman is your essential nature. I may repeat this in every class because you will realize Vedanta is only talking that. Anything else other than this is fine. In time, you will have to arrive at this only. If you get this fundamentally clear, then the direction with which you approach Vedanta becomes extremely clear. That you are that Brahman. Now you equate the same changeless Nityam to yourself, and even when you have this personality, just as with creation, okay, let me redo this sentence. Just as with bangle, gold remained gold, pure, even with the appearance of the name and shape. Just as, now come closer to yourself, just as you have a personality, or rather one step before, just as you see a creation with all its changing things, where is the creation seen? Brahman. Brahman is the very inherent force. Come to yourself now, because I see myself as a person. Where is this person seeing himself? That person who sees himself now as limited. Essential nature of this person is Brahman. That same Brahman means only one. even while this personality is there, and you know how our personalities throughout our life have changed, and not only changed in a day, how much we change, how our minds change. पल पल में तो हमारा मन बदलता है. You know, there are people ask the questions, is there any way of managing your moods? My mood changes at the drop of the hat. मेरा मूड बदल जाता है. अब जब मूड बदल जाता है आपका, तो पहले आप बताएं कि क्या आप बदले? मूड बदला. Did I change? But at that time I really feel I am going through all this. आप नहीं समझ सकोगे how much I feel at that time. मतलब मूड बदला था ना, वो फिर बदल गया. Now while all this is changing in you, your essential nature as Brahman remains Shuddh. So even though in identification with this body and the mind and my emotions and all kinds of emotions, because when I see this world and I know nothing about the world, and burst still, I know nothing about my existence. I don't know from where I have come. I am suddenly put in a world. I am told they are my parents, these are my siblings, this is the world. I have to go survive for myself. I actually have so little knowledge, and therefore all the sense of insecurity, all the sense of attachment to hold on to whatever I see, all the sense of fear of losing what I have, all these things have to function in me because I see the world and I don't know where I am. I see myself and I don't know who I am. I just seem to be moving along with whatever the world tells me. I seem to form a personality. And if we are very, very true to ourselves, if we really have been thinking people or observing people, all of us will trace back somewhere or the other to our personality traits, and we know we have built them. They were not there by default. That is why right from the childhood of a child, parents are all the time, what is it called? Correcting or conditioning the child. ये सही है, ये गलत है, ऐसा करो, वैसा मत करो, ये बनना चाहिए, ये नहीं बनना चाहिए, ऐसा होना चाहिए, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए, लोग आए हैं तो नमस्ते करो, गुरुजी आए हैं तो प्रणाम करो, ये करो. Oh, so much you are letting the child be monitored, being conditioned. You are putting the child through so much, which is good. I'm not saying it's bad or it's not. All we are trying to say is Shuddham means whether you have conditioned yourself with Hindu sanskars or you've conditioned yourself as a life form with Christian samskar, or you've conditioned yourself as a life form with anything else, the essential nature will remain the same. Brahman. Whether your habits are this or that, whether you belong to this part of the world or that part of the world, whether you belong to that era or this era, eternal, and that is where the Sanatan word comes. Eternal will not change. And that what doesn't change is Shuddham. It remains as is. So in spite of any number of modifications on it, any number of wars and nuclear war or anything, creation will come and creation will dissolve. New creation will come and new creation will dissolve. In Puranas, we have this whole cycle of yugas. You may have heard it sometimes. There are yugas, 4 yugas, and then into this and into this. There's such vast expanse and detailed expanse we have of time, creation, yuga. When there is yug, itna elaborately समझाया है, इतना डिटेल्स में ऑब्जर्व किया हुआ है कि क्रिएशन इस तरीके से आती है, ऐसे बदल देगी, ऐसे like now you would say, okay, Kalyug, what is the characteristic of Kalyug? The characteristic of Kalyug is where the minds are going to be absolutely distracted by sense objects and sense pleasures. There's only going to be attraction for sense pleasures and comforts. So hard work, hardship, character building, everything that requires foundational effort will be resisted by people. The easy thing will be taken and will be encouraged in society. That is called Kali Yuga. The pleasure is going to be focused upon. The foundation will not be paid attention on. Foundation building, which takes a lot of effort, etc. Now, in spite of all this change that creation will see, how many Maharajas came and went? When you see the ruins, and they still are there, and you see history, and you read it, and you project at that time, Are, they must have also lived a life. And then you start questioning, उनकी जिंदगी और हमारी जिंदगी में क्या फर्क होगा? Except for the comforts, as a human being, would they have experienced life different from you as a human being? Independent of the era, independent of anything, the essential nature remains the same. Like, for example, I'll give another example here. Water, by its purity, does it have a taste? It has, whatever its inherent thing is, it remains as is. It has a certain sweetness to it, but it's all, you call it tasteless. But how many kinds of things we add to water to change as if the drink? Everything is liquid, but every drink is different. And yet water remains water. It doesn't undergo a change. पानी तो शुद्ध ही रहता है. आपने उसके अंदर रूह अफ़ज़ा डाला, या आपने उसके अंदर ठंडाई डाली, या आपने उसके अंदर नींबू डाला, आप उसको कुछ भी डालो, पानी तो पानी ही रहता है. You flavored it, yes, but water you cannot change its properties. You can, of course, that glass of water can be made impure, but water is not getting impure. You've added something which is the impure factor, imposed on water by addition. By itself, water is not impure. What is your nature? Pure. Your nature. वो ब्रह्मन का स्वभाव नहीं बोल रहे हो हम, वो ब्रह्मन आप हो. What is that nature? That nature is pure. However many layers of you come to the next word now. However many layers of personality you add on to yourself, and whatever you may call yourself with moods and everything, you will realize that the essential you does not change. With this word, nirabhasam, because it's in the same flow. Nirabhasam means one which is free of projection, free of abhas, projection, free of self-projection. This nirabhas means, from the standpoint of Brahman, from its Swarupa Lakshan, nirabhas means even when you see a creation, the Nityam, Shuddham remains without projection, nirabhas. Even when there is creation seen, Brahman remains without projection. Even when there is a bangle seen, gold remains without the name and form projected on it, which is the bangle state. That nirabhasam, without self-projection, is actually nothing but another word, is pure chaitanyam. Chaitanya means consciousness. That's the closest English word, but it would be nice to take it in its own real essential word, chaitanyam. Because with chaitanyam, when you start the reflection, you will make much more headway than when you will start reflection by replacing the word as consciousness. Chaitanyam is what? Your capacity to be aware, your capacity to be alert, your capacity to express life, your capacity to be cognitive. It's very difficult to define Chaitanya. Enlivening factor. That enlivening factor remains pure even when you call yourself as born and as are dying and this person and that, whatever words you want to call yourself. Nirabhasam is absolutely pure. Shuddham. Remains as is without projection, self-projection. Pure presence, as I said, that pure presence without adulteration of creation. That is nirabhasam. When you can say now in relative meaning, do you ever know of solo presence? You know, when you go, there are now solo trips. People go for solo trips. Enjoy company by themselves. Solo presence. Call it solo by itself, presence by itself. It does not have a projection. Our presence is actually a projected presence. When I call myself as this and this, you know, like I'm the mother of this or the sister of this or wife of this or brother of this, etc., etc., etc. We all know, like I said a little while back, there are personalities that have been built. By default, some people have done it non-thinking. Some people put in the effort, think and build their person. Doesn't matter, but it is acquired. Personality is not something that you have as your essential nature. You have acquired the personality. This personality that you see is actually entirely projected along with the people, things, objects. You identify with them and just mere survival mechanism sometimes. Most of us find ourselves in society with people in relations, even to maintain relations, just basic harmonies. We project change our nature. And that change is not something we are happy with, but we just change it for the sake of immediate environment, just to maintain our survival, just to maintain our harmony, peace, whatever word you want to call it. Nirabhasam means keeping the distinction of your essential nature from your acquired nature. Abhas. Most of us, which is in relationships, this is a beautiful formula. Someone was asking recently. It's a very nice, what is called what is a good relationship? We say our yardstick of a relationship is किस इंसान के साथ हम खुद बन के रह सकते हैं. You're most comfortable as yourself. Don't you find this even in movies? You would hear the dialogues. With this person, I can be most myself. I don't have to pretend. I don't have to be. I can be myself. That being myself is the most relaxing state for a person. सबके साथ नहीं हो पाता है. For whatever reason, you will. I did understand later on, and as we move in the text, what are those reasons कि हम सबके साथ be ourselves नहीं हो सकते. लेकिन कभी-कभी God's grace कह लो, अपना पूर्वम There are sometimes we meet a person with whom you have no inhibition. You can be yourself. Be yourself. See the two words. Be yourself. That being is actually your nature. Somewhere that you can be without any projection in roles or in ideas or in religion or kuch bhi, but just to be who I am, relatively. So when you see it in a relative level, Nirabhasam even means removal of all projection. When I can be myself in all circumstances, with all company, all kinds of company, I must be closest to my nature. If I find myself very difficult to be in company of people and I have to project just to maintain harmony, that means I'm that much into projected mode. I'm keeping myself cut off from my essential nature. And if I remain cut off from my essential nature, life cannot be supported for long. And when I say life, I literally mean life, but also the experiences of life. Because what is actually your nature, you have to remove the projection. Finally, Vedanta is saying your entire person, good or bad, is not even important. आप बहुत अच्छे इंसान हो या आप बहुत बुरे इंसान हो, ये भी जरूरी नहीं है. आप इंसान ही नहीं हो, मतलब इंसान भी लिमिटेशन है आप पे प्रोजेक्टेड. You are free of everything. Brahman is that which is free of all this. Until you have known this, you will find yourself in a state of an eternal pravaha nityatvam. That pravaha nityatvam was called samsar. बदल बदल के सेम सिचुएशंस आती ही रहेंगी जीवन, सेम चीज से नाम और रूप बदल के you will just repeat and repeat and repeat. Experiences go on. Actually, you may think, "Arey, this is so unique to me," but you will not know that the same experience you've been carrying forever. Till there is non-recognition of your own self, Vedanta says your projected being is always going to be a source of conflict because you're going to be in disharmony. Nirabhasa, from the absolute stand, means here we are saying that Brahman is the Guru to whom we are doing prostration, namaskar. Brahman is Nirabhasam. And here now you see it in a relative level because you've put it to the level of a Guru. You are saying here this particular Nirabhasam is Tatastha Lakshan also because it is referring to the Guru quality of not having a projected state, being with projection. This Nirabhasam, moving on to the next one, we'll see if it needs repetition, we'll do it again in the next class, but moving on to the next one, is also Nirakaram. It doesn't have an akar, simple meaning. Nirakaram. Nira, जिसका आकार नहीं है. Just take this much. This is also a direct lakshana. Chaitanyam, pure Chaitanyam, कोई आकार है उसका? Consciousness, does it have a form? To take this into an example, water. Does water have a form? But it can have a form temporarily. In whichever vessel you put in, it takes the shape of that vessel. It has a temporary form then. But by itself it is formless. It doesn't have a form by its nature. चैतन्यम, अगर आप इसको साथ लेके चलो थॉट को, चैतन्यम actually is formless, is like light. But when it is put on any specific object, it seems to take the shape of the object. Vidyaranya Swami is one of the acharyas in the lineage of Vedanta, not recent times. He's written a book Panchadasi, and over there he gives this example. He says, how do I know anything? If I give you two objects in front, one is an apple and another is a fruit, forgotten the name again, another is a fruit, call it okay, it's a fruit which has a shape of a pear, color of an orange, smell of a pomegranate, and here you have an apple. You don't know what the name of this is. How do you get to know these two objects? Chaitanyam is formless. Whatever has fallen in Chaitanyam gets revealed. When it reveals, to say it, Vidyaranya says, he says it is as if the ray of consciousness enveloped that object. And so you say, oh, I see, I hear. Consciousness means Chaitanyam has enveloped the object, or suddenly you will say, I know. This object that I don't know, whatever I know is what I'm figuring it out. Color of an orange, smell of a pomegranate, etc. I don't know really what it is, but I know what I know, and I also know what I don't know. I'll repeat this. I know apple, so I know what I know. I know pear, but this is not an object. This fruit doesn't seem to be a pear. But I know pear, shape of a pear. I know orange, but this object I know is not an orange. So you see two things going together. I know, I don't know. Both of them actually have knowing behind. I know what I know. I know what I don't know. How does this happen? Because Chaitanyam is formless. It adapts to the shape of whatever object is placed in front of it. And when we say adapt, don't mistake the words. There is no adaptation in its essential nature. It gets revealed. The object gets revealed when it falls in your consciousness, in your awareness. Like, it's dark night and you carry a torchlight with you. Just a torchlight is with you. And you are just moving out somewhere, gone for a walk with a torchlight. Everything's dark. You can't see anything. Only thing that you can see is where the torch beam is falling. Wherever the torch beam is falling, that is what gets illumined. Torch beam is formless, revealing the form. Formless, even though I see myself now as a form. I'm calling myself this body. I'm calling myself a female. I'm calling myself of this age. I'm calling myself with this name. I'm calling myself with this some identity. I'm so much weight. I have put on weight. All this I'm calling as a form, no? this is my size, this is my height, this is my weight, this is all these are actually qualities of body. आकार का ये सब है. क्या आप आकार हो? क्या चैतन्यम आकार है? That आकार that you can see कि चैतन्यम आकार नहीं है, वो आपका स्वरूप है. ये आकार अपने को समझना इस संसार. This Nirakaram, I'll take 2 more minutes. We'll have to probably continue. I was trying to finish it today, but we'll continue next class because these are all very gehre shabd. You know, gehra is the right word. Deep will not convey this. Gehre hai. You know, like onion, you go on removing a layer and you see something more. These words are like that. You think you've understood it. After some time, you remove a layer and you say, oh, you see something more in it. It's something like this. These words are absolutely complete Vedanta in itself. Therefore, it'll be very nice. I'm repeating myself. Memorize it. They are going to be your support when, supposing any one of us reaches the old age and we have nothing with us and your mind is full of all kinds of silly memories. That time, if you have rattled these words, you will have anandam reflecting on it. There's a chance, there's a possibility that you can get joy of, because there'll be layers that they can start unfolding in you. Niranjanam, without blemish. This again is at 2 levels. It is at the level of Brahman. It is also at the level of the Guru, who is the Brahman. That Guru is Niranjanam, without blemish. Means it has Anjanam, that Anjan Karna, that Kajal is also called Anjanam. What is that? It's an extra thing that you put on. Niranjanam, Brahman is, in spite of all this creation में, हमको इतना सब कुछ दिखता है. सब कुछ दिखता है. Brahman being Shuddham. Shuddham also means it is without any flaw. Niranjanam means kuch wahan pe, there is no darkness, there is no blemish, there is nothing else. It's pure. So is also anyone who has knowledge. That person, as the Guru here in this context it said, is blemishless, because knowledge is blemishless, not the person. This verse is glorifying the knowledge. It is not separating the Guru from the knowledge. It is identifying Brahman as the Guru. That Guru, Niranjanam, Nitya Bodham and Chidanandam. Next 2 words. Nitya Bodham, I'll just introduce these words now. Nitya Bodham means always ever known. Bodh jiska nitya hai. Bodh means knowledge, grasp. It is ever known. Now let me go back to the word presence. The minute you wake up, does somebody have to tell you, tum uth gaye? When they say that, वो तो मतलब अपनी तरफ से तुम्हें कह रहे हैं, but do you need their verification to tell you that I have woken up? Is this word right? Correct? When you wake up, who knows you have woken up? Who has to tell you that you have woken up? Does someone have to tell you? No. I know I have woken up. My presence as awake now is already known to me. Nobody has to tell me. They may even pull my leg to say, you seem to have woken up, but you're still sleeping. वो अलग बात है. वो नहीं कह रहे हैं. तुम्हें पता है कि तुम जाग गए हो. तुम जागे हो. तुम्हें पता है कि तुम सोए थे. तुम्हारा तो एक्सपीरियंस नहीं था सोना. तुम्हें लगा, तुम उठ के कह रहे हो कि I slept very well or I slept disturbed. सोए थे. तुम्हारा एक्सपीरियंस कह रहा है तुम खुद कह रहे हो कि मेरे को ड्रीम, I dreamt, I had such a wonderful dream, or I had such a bad dream. Who knows all this? Nitya Bodham. ये जो चैतन्यम है ना, that you have understood today as this chaitanyam is actually ever there, also as ever known. मैं हूं is a known thing to me. But if it is already known, then why am I still feeling bondage or limited or small or etc.? Because I am not recognizing this. When I don't recognize it, I am seeing something else of myself, some other qualities I see, because of which the cycle of samsara starts. Nitya Bodha means मैं evidently always known to myself. Not only that, if you're known to yourself, the characteristic, the pointer that you are, that is Chit Anandam. You are always Chit, knowledge, Anandam, ever in a state of pure joy. All the joy that you attribute to sense objects, uske karan, usse mujhe आनंद मिला, all this is false. अगर आप किसी चीज में आनंद पा रहे हो, वो आपका आनंद है जो आप उस पर प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हो. Your essential nature as nityam shuddham nirabhasam nirakaram niranjanam nitya bodham chit is anandam also. Whereas when all this is there, all this is one, which is anandam, then all that you see, because you don't recognize this, you try to seek it in other things. I look for the same happiness that I am, and I look for it in objects and people. And that Vedanta says is sansar. When I look outside of myself for happiness, when I look outside of myself for peace, when I look outside of myself for I look outside for completion. That is the source, the seed you are sowing for samsara chakram. That is nityam, pravaha nityam. Sansar is pravaha nityam. That Brahman as Guru, namami aham. I do my namaskar. Means I have already invoked my own truth. In other words, when you have heard Guru is not external, Guru is within you, all that. What does it mean? It means this. Already you are that, but you need to invoke it. You need to recognize it. To that Guru, till I don't recognize it, I have an external expression. Here in the context of Vedanta, it is knowledge, pure knowledge. That alone is the Guru. That's it. That knowledge, I seek that I get the chance, I allow myself to remain, to abide in that knowledge. With this, I think we'll end this class here. In the live session, we will then सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्.